Hello, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be discussing the biggest scam in jfashion history and how I accidentally found the person behind it. In case you don't remember, this was basically the Fire Fest of the Western jfashion world. Ota-Q Apparel was a Western kawaii clothing brand ran by an artist known to the jfashion community as Callie. The store began accepting pre-orders in April of 2017, and for several years, everything seems to have run smoothly. Ota-Q was being worn by many of the big names in the Western jfashion world, and Callie had booths and workshops at many cons in Texas, and was friends with several of the biggest jfashion influencers to date. In May of 2020, George Floyd was executed by police. People were appalled and protests spread like wildfire throughout the states. Dolls Kill, a very famous alternative brand, came under rightful scrutiny after the brand's owner posted this picture of police in riot gear in front of a Dolls Kill location to Instagram, with the caption, "Direct action in its glory." This, alongside the social climate at the time, sparked people to begin uplifting Black-owned businesses, with one such business being offered as an alternative to Dolls Kill being Ota-Q. This caused Callie's brand to skyrocket in popularity. Callie's Instagram following doubled to 50K in 2 weeks, and they said they got about 500 orders in that time, whereas their typical order rate was 3 to 4 every few days. This is where things start to get rocky. Callie posted July 1st, 2020, asking people to keep in mind that she had gotten about 20 times her normal order amount, therefore orders would be taking extra time to be shipped, and that she had moved that weekend, causing further delay. Their next post was July 11th, 2020, explaining that they are a one-person small business and that the amount of orders was kicking their butt, and asking for people to please be patient. The next time Callie mentions orders is July 29th, 2020. They say these pins that they made will be included in all outgoing orders, that they won't be posted for individual sale yet since they're overwhelmed with orders. In the comments, this is when people first start asking about things that they ordered in May. Pretty much everyone is still excited to receive their package. I thought this was an interesting tidbit. On August 19th, she posted that she was organizing a candy trade for the group that she ran, the K Club. I just thought this was a little bit of a questionable choice because I run a small business, and when I'm overwhelmed with orders, the last thing that I would want to partake in is something that takes large-scale organization and like time and energy. In the comments, there was a mix between some people saying they actually did get their candy in the trade, some people saying that they never got their candy in the trade, and some people saying they never even heard back from her after filling out the submission form to be included in the trade. It seems to me like she did not have the energy and time to expend on a project like this to properly coordinate it. There are also several people asking about their missing orders at this time in the comments. September 6th, so over a month after the July 29th post, she mentions orders again for the first time. She said she was very behind on emails and was working until midnight every night. She said she had one more thing to do and then they'd be getting back to their regular schedule. There are quite a few comments on this post asking about their orders or for them to respond to emails. This brings us to October 9th, 2020. That fateful day was the last time that Callie ever posted to either Instagram or the Ota-Q Facebook page. This was the last time anyone heard from them in an official capacity. The post contains 4 slides of writing, which I will be putting up and you can pause to read them. In these, she explains that over the summer, she got more orders than she had in her previous 3 years of business combined, that the stress of everything was taking a toll on her health, and that she would finally stop accepting new orders and that she would be taking a hiatus from putting out new designs and things like that. She explains that she was working every single day for 15 hours and that she'd be leaving the store open until October 24th so people could get in final orders. Which, if you ask me, that was not the right move. I think that Callie should have closed accepting new orders either immediately or like within 48 hours. She said that her plan was to reopen January 2021, and that she'd be shifting the business model from made to order / print on demand to only selling in-stock items. They also said they'd be bringing on an employee. In the last slide, they apologize for the lack of communication, that they want to be transparent with everyone. They close out by saying they still had a few more projects to finish, like sending out packages for giveaway winners and contest winners and something about a small batch of masks that she'd potentially be selling. Honestly, this part really confused me. I do understand. I have done giveaways. I understand feeling the need to get them out and things like that. But I feel like when you're this behind on orders, the priority needs to be like catching up and coming up with a system to catch up and not doing these other things. And I do understand there is such a thing as working too much. Like 15 hours every single day is way too much. And I feel like at that point, you really need to bring in other people to help kind of sort things out and come up with a system. So that seems like the end of everything, right? Most people finally get their orders, albeit very delayed, and everyone lives happily ever after? Nope. As far as I can tell, none of the people that were waiting for an order from her ever got one. Hundreds of people have commented on the Ota-Q and K-Club Facebook pages and the Ota-Q Instagram, even up to the end of 2024, saying that they never got their stuff, they never got a refund, and some people coming back year after year to say it was the anniversary of them getting scammed. Hundreds of people spent anywhere from $50 to $500 and never heard back, nor did they ever receive a penny or a package or even an apology. This is also not the first time Callie failed to follow through on a promised project. The kawaii group she ran, the K-Club, was also a zine self-publisher. People paid $35 for the 4th edition in 2019, which never ended up being released, and they never ended up getting a refund either. Last update that I could find that anyone that ordered from her directly heard from her was December 2nd, 2020. They claimed they would be sending out 500 plus orders within the next 2 weeks. The person that received that email from her was initially hopeful and felt like they were going to get their order. However, they never did, and they never heard from Callie again. I also want to point out that Callie maintained that the only orders that were waiting to go out were the ones that were placed at the end of May going forward, but I saw someone saying that they ordered something as far back as November 2019 and they never ended up getting their item. And the majority of people involved in this situation never even got an email back from them at any point in time. At this point, she basically fell off the face of the earth. She didn't even show up to the last con that she had paid for and was supposed to show up to. The next time she was spotted online was sometime between late 2022 and early 2023. And one of her jfashion friends, who is now known as Rin's, stories at a rave. People reached out to Rin, who supposedly did not know anything about the situation, and they said they were very surprised to hear that no one was getting their orders because the last time that they saw Callie had, quote, piles of clothing that had been made that were the wrong sizes or otherwise incorrect orders. So they assumed Callie was handling the situation. Rin messaged Callie on the scammy's behalf, and Callie replied that she had ordered the clothing which came in incorrect sizes, and they wanted to sue the company that made them, but it was apparently too expensive, and they were having health issues. According to the person that posted about this, what put Rin off even more was the fact that Callie had chalked the whole situation up to a loss that they didn't even attempt to make right. Callie stopped responding to Rin very quickly and did not give a satisfactory answer. Redditor said that they saw her at a rave in April of last year, and another Redditor that says they knew her personally says she ghosted almost everyone she knew once things started to fall apart, but still has a few jfashion friends left. The Redditor said Callie was unwilling and unable to rectify the situation financially. Callie made a post saying that they donated 50% of their profits from this rush to Texas Organizing Project Bailout Fund in June of 2020. She then made vague claims in comments and emails starting at the end of 2020, claiming that they had donated all of the money to BLM. Though some people refute this and say that they spoke to the organizations for records and there was no such donation made by Callie. Over the past 5 years, there was an attempt to sue, but unfortunately the victims were unable to afford a lawyer. There's also difficulty being able to get everyone on the lawsuit as a lot of the customers are overseas. I think this is unfortunately a prime example of our legal system being very difficult to navigate because there are pro bono lawyers and legal aid organizations that I believe would have helped out in a situation like this because there were so many people that were affected. You might be wondering at this point how, where, when I found her. When perusing through comments left on the Ota-Q platforms, I came across someone saying what her real name was. Courtney. I did some sleuthing with her real name and was able to find her. And yes, I have confirmation this is the real Courtney and not some random innocent Courtney. If you're expecting me to dox her next, I am sorry to disappoint you, but I will not be doing that. I know that some of you don't know how to act. That being said,
if you or a loved one was scamothelioma'd by Courtney, you may be entitled to compensation.
but for real, reach out to me, we will chat, and I will give you the information that I found. It is not too late to sue, and there are resources out there for this kind of thing, and I think that with enough traction and enough people standing up and saying I was affected by this, I feel like we might be able to get something going. Or we can at least try to help you find a pro bono lawyer or something like that. This is a little bit of a crazy update since I recorded this video. I went on the Ota-Q Insta and commented on the Hiatus post that I had contact info for any of the victims to reach out for it. I mentioned I was working on a video, and I went back a few days ago to acquire a few more screenshots, and the whole Insta was gone. She deleted the entire Insta. To me, this means she's been reading the comments this whole time. I don't know if she got scared because I found her, or she didn't want me making a video and thought this would stop me, but I'm autistic and my research is done autistically. I already had pretty much all the screenshots I needed, so that did not work. I just thought it was insane that she deleted the whole page 2 days after I commented. She didn't just block me. I checked on my browser, a private browser, and several different Insta accounts. Crazy. She's actively avoiding accountability. I know it may seem bizarre to some that I have sympathy for this person. You have to keep in mind, this is before TikTok is what it is today. Not nearly as many adults were on it at this point in time, especially not for business or work-related reasons. Blowing up in this way before the boom in algorithmic-based social media is exceedingly rare, and it's not something the majority of small business owners would have even considered a possibility. My handmade small business has blown up on TikTok on a few occasions, and I'll be honest, it was a struggle to keep up. That being said, her not fulfilling the orders, not refunding people, not even reaching out to people is unacceptable.
Yep,
I would like to see a resolution to the situation because a lot of people were hurt. This did irrevocable damage to the jfashion community. I feel like even a heartfelt apology would go a long way for a lot of people. I also recognize this is a nuanced situation because despite this not excusing Courtney's behavior, I don't personally believe she set out to scam people. She was a reliable member of the jfashion community and had her business for 3 years at that point. And I do genuinely believe she was having health and personal issues that interfered with her ability to complete this work, and I feel that it just got so overwhelming she didn't know what to do other than run away. It's really unfortunate because I saw people in her comments offering their help. She didn't respond to any of them. I feel like she might have been too embarrassed to admit that she did need help, and unfortunately she took on a lot more than she could handle on her own. She put herself into a pressure cooker and exploded. The saddest part is that the majority of people didn't even start to get angry with their comments until 6+ months later. Some people didn't even start to truly believe they were being scammed until the website went down. There were still people over a year later saying that more than anything, they just wanted the products. They didn't want a refund. And I kept seeing the sentiment repeated over and over that people weren't mad if they had to wait. They just wanted communication. It was this lack of communication that made them start to feel uneasy. I feel that if she had have reached out for help when she really needed it, this all could have been avoided. I think many people in the jfashion community, specifically where she was integrated in, would have genuinely helped. Or at the very least, someone would have helped her field and respond to emails, comments, and messages in order to keep people at ease, because I do feel like the overwhelming amount of messages and emails that she had to respond to added to the stress of the situation for her. Let this be a lesson. No man is an island. It isn't embarrassing or shameful to ask for help or admit that you bit off more than you could chew. We're a community. The jfashion community is just that, a community. Art communities are communities as well. I strongly believe the jfashion community would help out if they were in fear that someone was about to create an Ota-Q 2.0 situation. Make sure you subscribe to hear about more of the goings-on and tea in the jfashion world, and thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share with the class. What are your thoughts on the situation? And if you have any other jfashion, fairy cake, kawaii related questions, feel free to drop them down below. I'm happy to answer.